I'll call the meeting to order. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. I'll introduce the panel members first. I'm Marcel Laurent, who I'll be chairing. Tracy Anderson to the far left. Gisela Rempel to my left. Arka Adhikar. Adhikarov. I get it wrong every time, Adhikar. And Kara Balshaw will be our secretary today. We will be hearing applications for revision to the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit the discussions to those matters. The statements that applicants or the assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony. Anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessment of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note the Board's decision with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to an application of exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board order. With respect to the hearing process, I'll confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in, and we will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicants may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. If you can swear them in.
You're swearing in today?
I'm affirming.
Please state your name.
Arka Adhikar.
Do you affirm the evidence you present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I affirm.
Thank you. Will you please stand? You're going to swear in or affirm this morning?
Yeah,
On the Bible or just say?
I'll say that.
Please state your name.
Troy Keller?
Do you affirm the evidence you present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. The assessor has also included some maps. That's for you. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to give you
Just
the
give us
stack,
all.
okay?
Yeah.
I just can sort them out. They're in order of the docket, I presume.
Let's hope so. First one on the docket is 1 Elmo Avenue.
That's me.
Arka, when you're ready.
Subject property with a parcel ID 070704-24500. Street address 1 Emo Avenue. In Woodhaven neighborhood, there's a one-story single dwelling, 1952 year build, 1972 effective age, 2,522 square feet of living area with a full part area basement and no basement finish on record. One full bathroom, one half bathroom, central air conditioner, 2 fireplaces, and a detached multi-car garage. 12,740 square feet for lot size. No land influences. Alright, so comparable one. 130 Ogden Boulevard in Woodhaven neighborhood is a one-story single building. 1953 year build, 2000 effective age, 2,390 square feet of living area, full basement and the basement finish. 1 full bathroom, 3 half bathrooms and 2 showers. Central air conditioner and a detached multi-car garage and 2 fireplaces. 7,194 square feet for lot size. Time adjusted sale price $651,200. Time adjusted sale price per square foot $272.47. Sold in December 2017. Comparable to at 2558 Pinewood Drive in Birchwood neighborhood is a one-story single dwelling, 1960 year build, 1970 effective age, 1,515 square feet for living area, full basement and the basement finish, 1 full bathroom, 2 half bathroom and 1 shower, central air conditioner, 1 fireplace, attached single car garage, 6,602 square feet for lot size, land influences, bus route, commercial influence, external corner, medium traffic and a school. Time adjusted sale price $423,100. Time adjusted sale price per square foot $279.47, sold in June of 2016. Comparable 3 is 19 Pine Valley Drive in Kirkfield neighborhood, one-story single dwelling, 1973 year build, 1998 effective age, 1,995 square feet. Full basement, no basement finish, one full bathroom, one shower bathroom, one shower, central air conditioner, one fireplace, and attached multi-car garage. 10,596 square feet for lot size. Land includes a golf course. Time adjusted sale price $646,800. Time adjusted sale price per square foot $324.21. Sold in September of 2017. 207 Harris Boulevard is comparable number 4. Is a one-story single dwelling. 1956 year build and same year effective age. 1,521 square feet for living area. Full basement and a basement finish. One full bathroom, one half bathroom, and one shower. And the detached multi-car garage, 7,686 square feet for lot size. Time adjusted sale price $355,000. Time adjusted sale price per square foot $233.40. Sold in March of 2018. And for subject property, 2020 assessment is $479,000, and total assessment per square foot is $189.93. Subject property was sold in 2015 for $474,900. Thank you.
Do you have any questions of the assessor before you give us your presentation?
The only thing is no, I don't, but the subject is being myself, the basement, or the fireplace is just one, not two. There was one that was a long time ago boarded off due to being unsafe, so it's been completely boarded up and shut down.
Okay.
So that's the only difference.
Giselle, any questions?
Yes, I'm just wondering if you could tell me what is right north of this property. On the map, it shows a blank space. Is that a green space? Is that?
It's a single family dwelling that is tucked in there, and it has a driveway out into Woodhaven Boulevard, somewhere where that subject information is. Where it's a subject, it's supposed to have a driveway into Woodhaven.
Explain that again.
Right behind here?
Yes, it's a single family.
Oh, okay.
Do they have the entire parcel of land?
They do.
Yes.
Okay,
It's a mansion, it's a rare one in the area, but it's a big one.
I have this map to pass on the subject property is here, so you probably have a better idea.
thank you.
Tracy, any questions?
No, not at this time, thank you.
And on with your presentation then, Troy.
Never done this before, but
I'm sorry, you have something to hand out.
I was supposed to bring copies.
Yep. We'll hand them out for you.
What I'm I figure a property, whenever it's outside of, about in the 10%, 5-10% area, it's worth discussing and talking about. I manage 6 properties in the city that I have a stake in both with the Thrill family, that I've managed for my father. And I found of this year, 4 of the assessments were actually a fair market value. One of these may be about 5% high, and I found 2 of them were quite high. This is the one that I feel is not incredibly high, but I did have a realtor look at my other one because I'm putting one for sale. So he told me what it was assessed at. He goes, that's high for this neighborhood. It's the area he specializes in. He's a well-known public figure, and he says this is way too high. So he says, well, how much did you pay for it? Well, I mean, truth be told, I paid $475 for it, but I walked into it and I was desperate because I had my mother on one side, divorced parents, father on the other side. I grew up on the street. I walked in on a private sale with no agent's advice, and I said, my wife tugged my arm, and I said, I'm buying this. She said, how much is it? And she says, it's not for sale yet. I said, we're buying this property. It's only money. We'll figure it out later. But that's how it ended up becoming at the $475. I do believe it's worth around $450. I don't believe it's crazy high. I do believe it would sell for around that price nowadays. But I figured that little bit was worth discussing. When you look at comparables in the area, when you look at the fact that I do not have a full basement, I have a crawl space. My wife calls it a spider space, we have enough area to go in there in the basement and put a, in the basement, you have enough to put in a washer dryer and the kitty litter boxes. A little area for the kids to kind of go up and down the stairs, but it is generally, basically no basement. The vast majority of it is just crawl space. Plus the foundation issues and the leaks that go in there, you would never do anything or finish it anyway. I did look into digging up the crawl space, it's cost prohibitive. So, one other part of it is the square footage is high because the old garage was blended in a long time ago into the actual house, which makes it a very difficult room to use practically. So the square footage shows as high, but it's a room that just doesn't have the heating and insulation properly. But it is part of it, and it does count as square footage. So now it does have a detached garage. It's in anyway. So like I say, I bought it for that reason. I would have paid any price for it at the time, but I do believe it's just assessed a little bit high, and I believe the assessment just reflects what I paid under the situation as described. So I printed I got an agent to look through it. I looked at some comparables, even though, I mean, to be the best you can with what it is, although there's always some differences. I just think there's some room to bring it down a little bit. I don't really have a lot more to say unless you have any questions for me.
We'll see if there's some questions. Arthur?
So you mentioned the basement is being, do you know, can you tell me approximately what is the size of your basement area?
The dig out, although it's just concrete, I'm gonna say a quarter of the house. So, let's see. I'm thinking if I were to do paces, it'd be about 5 paces each direction, maybe 6, I'm estimating. So I would say approximately 600 square feet.
Okay, well, yeah. Well, that's all right, because when you described it, was a bit, I imagined it smaller, but I have 736 on record, so I would assume that is.
Okay. Yeah.
Can you tell me about the condition of your house? What shape is it in?
It depends on which areas of the house. We have plans to remodel it. The floors are relatively new. I would say relatively new, I would say 10 years old. For hardware, that's pretty good. Carpet is getting old, in the 50% carpet, and that's getting old. And then we painted the whole house, so I mean the walls have been patched. My wife wants to upgrade the appliances, but I still think they have a lot left in them. They're about 10, 15 years old, so I still think they're good.
Okay. And how about windows and windows, kitchen?
Average age, I mean, if they last 30 years, I'd say they're probably halfway through their life, so let's say 10 to 15 years old approximately.
Okay.
We've been there for 4 years now, and I remember saying back then they're probably 5 to 10 years old. The previous owner's husband had passed away, and it was all done while he was still alive, so that's how I can estimate that. But they're not old or leaking.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
But the basement does leak, which is the problem.
Okay.
That's it for your questions, Art?
I think so. Yeah, I'm done with the questions.
Tracy?
Just more about the condition of the house, the age of the furnace.
The age of the furnace is I just had them looked at by Balkan and Sons. I have to estimate that because I don't actually remember exactly, but it's under 15 years
Okay.
because they were willing to warranty it, or their plan. So, but it's more than 10. The hot water tank is due to be replaced, but that's a small factor.
Can you tell me about the basement leak?
The front end of it has been, it leaks through the walls. When we purchased the house, there was pipes along the sides, and I didn't really know what they were for, but the previous owner had used them to kind of collect water to go into a common point, so it leaks out of those pipes. And what he'd done is he dug these, when you look in the crawl space, there is like these holes all over it, and obviously somebody had once noticed the problem a long time ago, and I don't know what they're called, but they're these pipes that like a rubber pipe that all go into, and they go into the drain pit. And now, over the years, now it just comes out of the cracks. It just seeps out of the cracks. Like it's just when you get a heavy rain or a spring thaw, it just, in the middle of the crack, there'll just be water seeping down in a stream. Then there'll be another area, the water seeps down in the stream. But on a 2,500 square foot house, it's cost prohibitive to dig around the foundation, so it's just to live with it. It happens a few times a year. I have had 2 foundation companies dig along the sides, and I've completely done one wall. That was like $2,000, and it made it a bit better, but it didn't fix it. At least, it's just a matter of collecting. At one point, in the real big rainfall we had a couple years ago, the entire basement was flooded with 6 inches of water. So yeah, it goes up to your ankles.
Indoor pool?
Can happen.
Indoor pool, it's more money.
Indoor pool.
Oh, God.
That was
And,
perfect.
please explain to me about the garage being usurped into the square footage, and is it heated, how is it heated?
It's heat, it's just residual heat from the rest of the house plus an electric based.
So there's no independent heat source in that room, for argument's sake?
Actually, you know what there is, they must have retrofitted it. There's one in the corner, but it's just when it's colder, and then you can't get Wi-Fi in there because it was a garage, so there's like the signal issue obviously from the walls of the garage, but I guess that's my assumption anyway. When you see the way it would have been a retrofitted garage that they just used to add on to the square footage, so it's sitting room, you could use it as multiple things, but it's just this little extra, you know, it's a bigger area to the house, which is just kind of there, but its usability is limited because of the temperature.
That's it, thank you.
Giselle.
Thank you. I'm just wondering, prior to your purchase of the home, whether you had a home inspection done?
No.
Okay.
I walked in and said, I'm buying it, because of my wife's words. I had like, my parents, like I say, divorced, one on each side. I grew up in Winnipeg, so I had no other choice. Like it was meant to be. It was like, we're buying this. Plus the owner's like, I was gonna list this, and I'm like, you're not now. Whatever you're gonna give you, I'll give you more. We have to get this. So she says she fell in love with my daughter. She says she raised her daughter here, and now she's wanted someone with the background, so she's willing to hear us out. So that's why we bought it.
Okay.
I
Can
think
you,
you've got a better deal.
And no regrets.
can you tell me, in terms of these estimates of other similar style properties in the area, what date these sales would have been based on?
We didn't look at date. One of them's like 10 years old. The other one's a couple years old.
I saw that, yeah.
But his words to me were the properties haven't gone up that much in recent years. There was a bubble at one point in time, but he sold I know him because he sold a house for me a year ago, and he said this house will go for between $325 and $350, and he sold it for $330. So he was bang on, and he's got another one listing for me now too.
Okay, the only other question I have is, in terms of your foundation and the problems with it, I thought I heard you say it wasn't even worth replacing that foundation, digging
It would be like in the 6-digit range to go and dig around, because the crawl space covers such a border of the house, because we have the square footage, but we can't like utilize it practically, because it's so big at the, whatever they charge, 150 per square foot. The math brings it into like, by the time you go and do that, you could be $100,000 on digging up the foundation of that house.
Okay, thank you.
Let's live with the leak.
So the garage is now part of the square footage. How big is the garage?
Well, we have a new garage.
No, but the garage that was on the house, you said it was added to the square footage of the house.
It was a single, it was an oversized single.
Oversized single. Did they do the flooring in it?
No, it's a carpet. It's just a
Carpet.
concrete, it looks
Right
like
on- right on the concrete?
Yeah, I'm assuming, I can only tell it's like a harder floor with a carpet on top.
Did they put a window where the door was, or
There's lots of windows in there.
look at where the garage door was? It's gone now, right? Got a
It's
window? Or is it a
Completely.
door?
Yeah, oh yeah, completely, yeah. This was, I'm assuming, done I'm assuming this was done like 30 years ago. It's completely windowed and,
Completely windowed, all insulated,
oh yeah,
heated.
yep. It is.
So it is actually a part of the house now.
Oh yeah, I'm not arguing that at all.
Okay.
It is completely. But that's how you got such a bigger square footage here.
No, that's it for my questions. Thank you very much. You'll be hearing from us.
Okay, so I can go now?
You can go. 70 Niagara, is that the next one?
Yeah.
Chris, you're up. Yeah, Chris knows the roof.
I guess so.
Packages for you.
Thank you.
Will you swear in or affirm this
My
morning?
name is Fern.
Please state your name.
Chris Pennycook.
Do you affirm the evidence you present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes or no? Yes or no, yes.
He's gonna grab my iPad.
Arca, when you're ready.
Okay. Subject property with parcel ID 12060947000, 70 Niagara Street is the street address in Wellington Crescent neighborhood. Is a two-story single dwelling, 2005 year built, 10 year effective age, 2,492 square feet of living area with a full basement and no basement finish, 2 full bathroom, 1 full bathroom and 1 shower, central air conditioner, 2 fireplaces and attached multi-car garage. Lot size 4,239 square feet. Total assessment roll for 2020 was $950,000. Total assessment per square foot $381.22. Comparable one is A60 Wellington Crescent, is a two-story single dwelling, 1929 year built, 1994 effective age, 2,716 square feet of living area, full basement and a basement finish, one full bathroom, 3 half bathroom and 1 shower. Central air, one fireplace, attached single car garage, 9,752 square feet for lot size, light traffic as an influence. Time adjusted sale price $1,058,400. Time adjusted sale price per square foot $389.69. Sold in December of 2017. 62 Harbor is comparable number 2 in Crescentwood neighborhood, 2-story single dwelling, 1929 year built, 2000 effective age. Living area 2,470 square feet, full basement and a basement finish, 2 full bathrooms, 2 half bathrooms and 2 showers. Central air conditioner, 2 fireplaces, attached multi-car garage. Lot size 11,328 square feet. Time adjusted sale price $1,334,600. Time adjusted sale price per square foot $540.32. Sold in January of 2017. Comparable 3 is 740 Wellington Crescent. A 2-story single dwelling in Wellington Crescent neighborhood, 1989 year built, same year effective age, 3,646 square feet of living area, full basement and a basement finish. 2 full bathrooms, 3 half bathrooms and 3 showers. Central air, 3 fireplaces, attached multi-car garage. 9,458 square feet for lot size, light traffic as an influence. Time adjusted sale price $1,021,900. Time adjusted sale price per square foot $280.28. Sold in May of 2017. Comparable 4 is 403 Oxford in North River Heights, 2-story single dwelling, 2010 year built, same year effective age, 2,467 square feet for living area, full basement and a basement finish, 2 full bathrooms, 3 half bathrooms and 2 showers, central air, 1 fireplace, detached multi-car garage, 4,810 square feet for lot size. Influences would be bustled, external corner and light traffic. Time adjusted sale price $916,800. And time adjusted sale price per square foot $371.63. Sold in October of 2017. Thank you.
Any questions, Chris, before you make the presentation?
I do. The house at 860 Wellington Crescent, you have an effective age of 1994. Yet that house was completely redone in 2015, top to bottom. Were you aware of that? I'm going to question you on a couple of houses that you have your effective age of. So I'm wondering how you come up with your effective age.
Well, the effective age there, of course, we have to, when houses are redone completely, they still bear original foundation to 1929. So that's where it is not fair. It's, I guess you will not be able to place a 2015 effective age on it, right? Because there's still certain issues that would affect, I guess, effective age in a negative way, so that's where 1994 effective age was calculated.
So you would suggest the nest house at 62 Harvard that was the lottery home for the Health Sciences Center that was completely rebuilt from top to bottom is only effective 2000 in year 2000, yet it was built in 2000, redone in 2017. They paid $527 for the lot for the house, and then completely rebuilt it from top to bottom. Would you suggest that that effective age is still only the year 2000, yet it was built completely rebuilt if you look at the two houses?
Well, again, yes, because it hasn't, like, they did, I guess my question would be, they didn't demolish the entire house, right?
They basically demolished it. They took down every wall in that house and rebuilt it from top to
But the
bottom.
foundation stayed original, correct?
The foundation is the only thing that stayed the same,
Yes.
but it was also waterproofed and completely redone. So the
So-
effective age to me would be that year. That's why it went from 527,000 to 1.35 million.
No, and again, going back to effective age, because the foundation was original, that's where I guess factor of effective age has to be lower than the current age. Current year, or back in 2015 when it was completely remodeled. When the foundation is original, it's, you cannot place same year effective age, even though everything was done as you said, so.
Okay, we'll agree to disagree on that one. The lot sizes. You have the lot size on Niagara's of 40 by 102, whereas your lot sizes on the homes that you're comparing, first of all, two of them are on Wellington Crescent, and I think everybody in this room would agree that Wellington Crescent is the signature street in the city, and how you can compare a home on Wellington Crescent to a side street in River Heights, especially ones that are twice the lot size and one is almost triple the lot size. So my question is, if you had two vacant lots, one sitting at 70 Niagara and one sitting at 860 Wellington Crescent, what do you think the price differential in the lot would be?
Well, the Crescent would be priced higher.
How much?
For what year are we talking about?
Right, in 2018 year of assessment, if you had two vacant lots, one sitting at 860 Wellington Crescent or 740 Wellington Crescent and 70 Niagara.
So 70 Niagara again is a side street and closer to Wellington Crescent, and so within that you are aware that as you get closer to Academy the prices drop, as you get closer to Wellington Crescent the prices increase.
Agreed.
And Wellington Crescent, being Wellington Crescent, would have the superior. Actually, Wellington Crescent itself will divide into two. Wellington Crescent that has riverfront.
Yeah, these are non-river, I'm asking non-riverfront
Yeah.
lots, I'm asking those two
Exactly.
particular lots, which are not far away from each other, but are both 9,000, over 9,000 square feet, just under 10,000, and the lot that we're looking at is just over 4,000, so a combination of two things, the location of the lot and the size of the lot.
Yeah, I would probably, it's hard for me to look without, because I haven't done the exact comparable land sales search, so I do not have complete information with me, but I would agree safely that property on Niagara, it's 5 houses, it looks like it's 5 houses away from the property on Wellington Crescent would be less than properties on Wellington Crescent.
Okay,
Exactly how much, I cannot tell you right now.
I'm gonna suggest to you that it's approximately $400,000 to $500,000 difference in value. Because there's been lots on Wellington Crescent that are sold that are the same size, have sold between $600,000 and $700,000 non-Riverside. On the Riverside, they've sold between $1 million and $1.1 million. On Niagara, there's been lots sold, they've sold approximately for $300,000. So the difference would be $300,000 to $500,000 somewhere depending on the time, okay? So that's a starting point with those two particular properties as comparisons that you've brought about. The one on Harvard actually isn't even River Heights, it's Crescent.
Chris, that you can
Oh,
make your
okay, sorry.
presentation.
So
Right now
the
you're
one
asking
on,
a
okay, I'll ask the question then. Do you consider Harvard a similar location to Niagara?
I would say it's inferior,
Harvard is inferior
yes.
by Peanut Park? It's down by Wellington Crescent, closer to downtown, just off of Peanut Park. You consider that an inferior
Okay.
location?
Well, the Peanut Park, well, I guess, so, properties on asking, I guess, yeah, I'll retract my previous response. They'll say that they would not, it would not be an inferior. So, Peanut Park and properties on Harvard near, like on Ruskin Rose there, would be similar to the properties closer to where subject property is.
Once again, I will quote a couple of prices that have sold on Harvard just down the way, so, which I happen to sell $675,000, and they knocked it down. Same size lot, and.
Now you're gonna do this in your presentation, or you're asking?
Well, I'm not actually, because this is a comparison, I'm asking him a
Yeah.
question about
Good.
this, so I'm just giving, he's saying it's a similar location, I'm suggesting that it's not a similar location to his lot. And then, so I have difficulty with your comparisons, that's my point on that, so that's, and then I have a question. Do you know the percentage increase in River Heights from 2014 to 2018?
I'll have I think partial give you an answer that the entire market region increased from 2016 to 2018 would be 5.82 on average.
Okay.
I do not have the information from 14 to 16.
Okay. Market value in River Heights, and you have that in your documents, is 12.9% since 2014. Do you know what the increase in the whole city has been from 2014 to 2018?
On I don't have the information for the entire city with me, but how relevant is it?
It's 11.6%. If a home was sold, there's a date that you guys use as your date. So and I understand that the market is not a one home thing, but if a home was sold on March 31st, 2018, and it was sold through the MLS system, and it was sold by a third party, and had been on the market, say, for approximately 50 days, would you consider that, once it's sold, if all things being equal, fair market value?
Well, if it's been sold, as you have stated, it would be it is have to be considered, right? Like I know there is a time for just title transfer and stuff, but if it's sold on,
I guess let me rephrase it then. If any house is sold on the market through the MLS system, through a established agent, bought by another established agent for a customer, would you consider that fair market value?
Condition of the sale, whether it's distressed sale, whether it is
I'm going to say an average sale. The
Average,
average,
okay.
the average sale that goes through the MLS system, would you say that those
No.
generally would be considered
yes,
fair market
yes,
value?
it would be. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that's all the questions I have, unless you have any.
We might just do that. Gisela,
I have no questions, thank you.
No questions, thank you.
your property, Arca,
Yeah.
on Wellington, at 740,
Mm-hmm.
larger lot, a little older. It's at 280 is per square foot,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
and yet you're putting this one at 381. What's the big increase?
Excuse me?
Why the big increase from, that's,
Like
you're looking at your comparables, I'm
Yes.
reading your comparables.
Mm-hmm.
There's two of them that are closer. Which one do you think is the best comparable out of your comparables?
Well, I would have to say that we have comparable 3 and comparable 4. Comparable 3 being closer to about, it's a bit older. Comparable 4 is a bit newer. The other would be good comparables. Comparable 4 is similar, but is in a slightly inferior neighborhood. Comparable 3 is in, I guess, superior location within the neighborhood.
Chris, on with your presentation.
Okay, I just want to make a note, before I start my presentation. Comparable for 403 Oxford never hit the market, and I believe was sold within family members. It was never on MLS. So when you ask about what's been sold by fair market value and which ones have been exposed, all the other ones were exposed to MLS. 403 was never on the market.
But it wasn't sold between family members.
If it wasn't sold, but it was not sold on MLS.
Not by the
I can't find it anywhere, and I've never seen it marketed, so it was not sold in the open market as per se that we would normally do. The subject property that we're looking at, there were 3 houses that burnt down in Niagara. I don't know if everybody is aware of that. This is one of the 3 houses that was burnt down and then rebuilt in 2005. Nothing has been done to it since 2005. It is identical to the day that it was built in 2005, which therefore, when you start looking at homes like this that are 14 and 15 years old, they're dated. You can't compare them to something that is built like the one on Wellington Crescent, Harvard, and actually Oxford's been updated too in that regard. When you look at a lot size, this house takes up the whole lot. There is no yard, where these other properties have expansive lots and a grandeur to them that this house does not. When you look at the comparables that our assessor has brought through, I have different comparables. 270 Niagara was a rebuilt house also, sold for $820,000. And then you can't find anything else out. The only other one that sold in the time frame that we're looking at is 166 Waverly, which I've actually sold 3 times. It's on a 88-foot frontage on Waverly. Again, when I get to lot sizes and that, it's extremely important because you cannot compare the same size of house. The lot sizes make such a difference in what the value of a person will pay for it on a house. So all the houses that I brought are also rebuilt, but they're in the $600,000 and $700,000 range. I'm not going to go through all of them completely, except for I will look at the one at 72 Niagara that is right next door to it. So it is on the same size lot. It was sold on the open market, listed for $519,000, selling for $565,000. And as you can see from the write-up, the roof was updated, the interior was painted, the rec room was done in 2016, which again, Niagara does not have a finished basement. Heated tile floors. It had a completely new ensuite done in 2014, and also a new kitchen put in not too recent future. Bear with me on the next one because I know you can't use them as a comparison, but I've also brought sales that are past the date that we are to do, because in actual fact, the city can't find any comparisons that were sold in the year before, but there are sales that are sold in the year afterwards. And when you can compare a home, the new homes that were built, again, another lottery home on 757 Grosvenor, and Green Lawn, which are both 40-foot lots, they sold for $905 and $850, but they're built in 2018 and 2017. Very difficult to compare the everything that goes into a house in 2018 compared to 2005. Completely different materials and quality of home. You also have 398 Beaverbrook, which is a new house, and
Now you're losing me here.
Okay, sorry.
Let's go. Which sheet are we on now?
You are on the second sheet that are sales from.
Okay, I got it now.
Okay,
Everybody else caught up with me?
Consider these.
Okay.
and then the best comparable. Yeah.
Carry on, Chris.
The best comparable that is out there is the house that just sold right next door. It is 68 Niagara. Unfortunately, all three of these houses, I'm only dealing with this one, but I'm sure you'll see 68 Niagara next year. It was assessed at $866,000. Because of the assessment at $866,000, I had to list it at $849,000 because they wouldn't believe me that it wasn't worth that amount of money. We had it on the market for 67 days. We brought it down to $799,000, and it sold for $760,000. That's a KDR custom-built home right next door, same size lot, with a fully finished basement. That is on the open market. That is the best comparable that you will find of a house that is right next door on the same lot, built the same year, and it sold for $760,000. Understand you can't use that as a comparison, but just thought I'd bring it for interest's sake. The last thing is, this house was bought in 2014 for $685,000. The city, which I would consider that to be fair market value, in 2014, it was on the open market, had been on the market for 52 days. It was fully marketed by a respected real estate agent and was purchased. The city has increased that house by 38%. So in other words, they're saying that that house has gone up 38% in value since 2014 because it was paid $685,000 and $950,000 makes it 38%. Where in actual fact, the market in River Heights, as I indicated earlier on, in River Heights has gone up 12.9%, and in the complete city since 2014 it's gone up 11.6%. So magically, if you actually look at the numbers from that, it increases to $760,000 if you were to look at the math from what the River Heights market has gone up and what the city, of the whole city, has gone up. And so I've gone in a two-pronged approach. One is I've gone in the fact that the comparables that the city has used are not comparables. They don't make sense. The lots are different. The street is completely different. The neighborhood is completely different when you get to Harvard compared to River Heights. And the best comparable is the one next door that sold for $760,000. You take the math from the increased percentage from when they bought it on the open market to today, it comes to $760,000. Unfortunately, these people have been paying taxes on a dollar value that house was never worth at $950,000. So that completes my presentation, whereas I think that the value of this house is approximately $750,000 to $760,000.
Martha, question?
Okay, so again, going back to the comparables, when you brought the comparables forward, you also couldn't find, I guess, new infill houses, right? That's hard to find.
They're hard to find, 100%.
Okay. So when you use the final, I would probably disagree. When you use the final dollar value, you kind of place it in the lower railing, right? Because if you were to take even the 2014 sale of such a property, it was coming out to about 780 somewhere there, right?
685 is sold for.
Yeah, 685 it's sold for, but using the calculation you were saying, let's see,
The property's gone up 11.6% in the city and
but
12.9% in River Heights.
So it will be fair, would you say it will be fair to use the River Heights neighborhood?
Yes.
29.
Yep.
So which is brings it closer to 775, right?
Correct.
Mhm. And there were some sales you brought in forward on Niagara, like 72 Niagara. Those are older houses, correct?
Yes, but it's also, it says $400,000. It also sold $400,000 less than what you're asking.
The price speaks for itself, right?
So yes, it is older, and I'm also asking I'm asking to this one to go up $200,000 from what that one sold.
Okay, I guess now Don't have any other questions, thanks.
Gisela?
Yes, first of all, I'm assuming that Mr. Pennycook has the authority to represent the homeowner?
He does.
Mhm.
Okay.
We've done all that work for nothing.
It's the first time I got a chance to ask the question.
Chris never works for free.
Oh, I'm working for free. I'm not charging for
I
this.
just want to make sure. So I'm interested, you say this home burned down and it was rebuilt in 2005, and was it rebuilt using the existing foundation?
No, it's brand new. All three were
So
brand new.
everything is brand new?
Everything is brand new.
Okay. The other thing I was wondering about is, you say there have been no changes to the home since 2014 whatsoever when it was sold?
No changes since 2005 or 2014. It is original to the day it was.
Okay, I'm just wondering about, since the current homeowner
They have made no
purchased the home,
changes.
there has
No.
been no changes
No.
whatsoever?
No, she's actually a handicapped, and there's a family that lives there with her to take care of her.
Okay, thank you, those are all my questions.
I have no questions.
Tracy, nothing?
No.
7. So adding your 12.9% comes up to 774,000, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I kind of rounded up a bit, used rounded number there.
77336, so it rounds up to 77. But anyway,
I mean, I use that number, but in actual fact, it's devalued, I would suggest, since there, because there haven't been no updates done to it, so it's just a number.
okay, we will talk about it, and you'll hear from us, Chris. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
And let's look a little here. Next one will be David,
Sorry for taking so long.
which is effective 860 Wellington.
Yes.
You can come up as well. You can keep them informed that way.
I can
Yeah.
elbow.
Oh, you keep talking, well, we'll swear you in as well. I don't want you just elbowing.
Oh,
So the assessor is including this map for you guys as well.
Okay.
Will you swear in this morning or affirm? Please state your name. Confirming evidence I present today is the truth and the truth and nothing but the truth. Please state your name.
Sandra Peters.
Do you affirm the evidence you'll present today is the truth and the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Do you have anything to distribute to the panel this morning?
I do, but I'll have to find out what I can and can't use. We have comparisons of sales from this year.
You can submit whatever you wish.
Okay, but you can ignore
We could.
And we might have to.
Just like me.
it. Okay.
So, did you want me to distribute or are you gonna hold on to it?
I'll hold on to it and we'll find out what we can give you and what we can share.
As long as you give us
I
some.
like this.
Arca, when you're ready.
Okay, subject property, parcel ID 120408 24000 860 Wellington Crescent Street address in Wellington Crescent neighborhood, two-story single dwelling, 1929 year built, 1994 effective age, 2,716 square feet for living area with a full basement and the basement finish, one full bath, 3 half bath, 1 shower, central area fireplace and attached single car garage, 9,752 square feet for lot size, light traffic is an influence, 2020 assessment roll $1,025,000, for total assessment per square foot $377.39. All 4 comparables are in Wellington Crescent neighborhood, 0 two-story single dwellings. So comparable one is 740 Wellington Crescent, 1989 year built, 1989 effective age, 3,646 square feet for living area, full basement and the basement finish. Okay. Two full basement finish, 2 full bathrooms, 3 half bathrooms, 3 showers, central air, 3 fireplaces, attached multi-car garage, 9,458 square feet for lot size, light traffic is an influence, Time adjusted sale price $1,021,900. Time adjusted sale price per square foot $280.28. Sold in May of 2017. 50 Waterloo is comparable number 2. 1928 year build, 1973 effective age. 3,010 square feet, full part area for basement and the basement finish. 1 full bathroom, 3 half bathrooms, 1 shower, central air, 2 fireplaces, attached multi-car garage, 11,995 square feet for lot size. Time adjusted sale price $1,053,400. Time adjusted sale price per square foot $349.97. Sold in November of 2016. Comparable 3 is 130 Waterloo, 1926 year build, 1976 effective age, 2,896 square feet for lot size, for living area, full basement, basement finish, 1 full bathroom, 3 half bathrooms, 2 showers, 1 fireplace, attached single car garage, detached single car garage, detached multi-car garage, and then ground pool. 12,003 square feet for lot size. Time adjusted sale price $1,107,400. Time adjusted sale price per square foot $382.39. Sold in September of 2017. 120 Waterloo is a 2-story single dwelling. 1917 year build, 1995 effective age. 3,412 square feet for lot size. Full part area for basement, with basement finish, 2 full bathrooms, 2 half bathrooms and a shower. Central air, 1 fireplace, attached multi-car garage, in-ground pool, 12,002 square feet for lot size. Time adjusted sale price $2,115,500. Time adjusted sale price per square foot $620.05. Sold in March of 2017. Subject property was sold in 2017 for $1,050,000. Yes, yeah, and that was the MLS sale with 37 days on the market. Thank you.
Any questions of the assessor before you make the presentation?
I don't think so.
You're good? Tracy?
No questions.
No questions, thank you.
Your first comparable, 1989, larger, is it because it's larger that the rate is down at $280 a square foot?
It appears so, right? It is larger and perhaps the condition of it will also affect it, but it is getting to the higher in square footage.
Yard sizes are both the same though?
Yes.
It sold in May of 2017? Yeah.
Yes. For subject property?
The one at 740.
Oh, 740 is May 2017, yes.
Yeah. No, this house sold for $1,050,000 in 2017.
Yes.
Okay, we'll go on to your presentation.
Okay, just so I know the rules, can I only use prices of houses sold on the sales sheet there from the city, or can I use some that are sold?
You can use some that are sold, but it should be prior to April 1st, 2018, to give us an actual number to work with.
Okay.
Do you have the city's sales, do you have any of the other sales
Well,
from
I've
the
got,
city? Give us your presentation, we'll
Okay.
see what you have.
681 Wellington.
You have, you have 6 copies so we can
Yeah.
follow you?
Oh, wait a minute. I don't.
Well, we'll share if you have a few.
It was sold September of 2016 for $775.
Did you want me to distribute these before you start presenting on them?
Yeah, these are the only copies I have of these ones because I didn't know that these are the ones that were used.
So you have just this one copy?
Yeah.
It's in a, it's an
Start with Arca.
assessment
Yeah,
information.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Should have taken a picture.
Yes.
Oh, we write real fast.
I'll give you the ones that I have.
This was sold in 2016.
Yeah, is that in the framework?
680. Yeah, that falls into that.
I'm sorry, I thought you were handing it to me.
I'll let you know when it's done. There, we'll share.
Okay,
Let's
now,
share,
okay,
okay.
Let's
good.
share.
This one I
It's
have
ready to go to.
6 copies of.
Great.
But that's not in the framework. So you can disregard that.
Here it
But
is.
it's interesting. That was-
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
More tear down.
That's not a good
Got it?
You should see, I know what they're doing to them now.
Yeah. In our case, we moved to the city in December of 2017. In February, our assessment went from six something to 948.
6 in 2017?
We received the notice from 626 to 948 on February the 22nd, 2018. So the renovation to the house, I assume, is reflected in that increase. I don't know why it wasn't.
But they wouldn't
have
have,
known earlier.
yeah, they wouldn't have caught, they don't usually catch it till the second part of this. Because they do the reassessment every 2 years,
Yeah, they told us they'd finished the renovation in 2012.
in 2012. Wonder, well, we can ask some questions on that.
Then, of course, it was, went from 940.
Give us that assessment again that you said it was for 2016?
This is the one we received in February the 2nd, 2018.
18,
Okay,
okay,
it went from 626 to 948.
to 948.
Yeah. And we didn't really do much at the time, we just moved here and didn't know how the game's played, but figured, well, we just bought it, so that's what it triggered it, so we weren't arguing with the 948. When it went up again, we've been looking at houses that have sold since, because we didn't know the market that well when we came in. They're selling for less, so our argument is, we slightly overpaid fair market value for the house compared to others. That's basically what we're saying. So we'd like to go back closer to the 948 than the 1,025,000. And I realize we paid $1,050,000, but my argument is that maybe we paid too much. There it is.
May I ask?
Yes, you may.
Okay, basically this is, I'm not sure whether you assess houses on what they've sold at, like what we paid for the house. And in that case, if somebody lives on our street in a house for 30 years and they can renovate or whatever, and if it's inside, I don't believe you need permits. So, do you ever know? But their house doesn't change because there's nothing to base it on.
And that's why we don't use assessments, because we don't know the condition of the houses.
Well, yeah,
Although some of the assessments, looking at them, if
Some
the
of
house
these,
wasn't there, it would still be worth more.
well, yeah, because of the lot size.
Yeah, because the tear downs, we looked at 3 houses in Winnipeg before we bought. 2 of them were holes in the ground, or actually not holes in the ground anymore, they're under construction. But they were going for, the one in Tuxedo was $775. There's nothing wrong with the house. There was another one that went on Wellington for $940, and the objection we had to it was too big. We looked at 1,000 Wellington, and it was $950, and they tore it down. And there was nothing wrong with the house, it's just they wanted a different house. So the valuation of houses is a little confusing to us. In the market we were in before, you could look at an assessment and plus or minus a little bit would be the price of the house. And I've looked in other areas of the city. Daughter lives in Westwood, and in Westwood, the assessment and the house values are pretty close. In River Heights, especially Wellington Crescent, they're all over the map. 16 years ago, or 18 years ago now, we lived at 836 Wellington. Same size house as ours, with a bigger lot, and it's assessed at $568,000. Like, how does that happen?
And we know the house, so.
And we know the house. And the renovation to our house, it wasn't torn apart top to bottom, and I don't argue that $300,000 wasn't spent on it. It was. Windows, doors, and they put in good quality stuff. So they did spend the money, so I'm not arguing that like at the 945, fair enough. Probably the closest house I can see to ours, and you should have a copy of it, and I'm sorry I'm so disorganized here. I do have copies of that one. And this is outside the framework. But this house is 880 Wellington Crescent. Its assessed value is $787,000. It's 2,802 square feet. The lot is 166, 46, 98, 31, so it's about the same size lot. It's a corner lot though. It has a swimming pool, and it's sold for $910,000. And that house has been completely renovated. So it's houses like that. There's another house on the next block which is now for sale for $750,000. I don't know the condition of the inside of that one. I don't know whether it's been done. One that did just sell for $1,050 was I apologize. I didn't realize this morning that I needed copies of things, so.
Well, some you do.
I got lots of copies. 1034 Wellington, sold for $940, and it was torn down. The land area is 14,663 square feet.
That's about right for land value, right? That's about right for land value.
Yeah, you know, and I get it, but it's, you know, there's so many houses that are assessed. The house across the street from us is on a lot that's 3 times the size of ours.
It's on the river.
On the river, and it's $50,000 more than the current assessment of our house. I don't know how that could be.
Could be a mistake.
Well, the house next to it is, 2 houses from it is showing at 1.2 million, and there's no house there. It burned to the ground. So I don't know how it works. I'm at a loss. Our argument is that we think we're slightly over on the price, fair market value. I don't think we can sell our house for what we paid for it. We still would selling in the neighborhood.
Arca, any questions?
Well, again, have you done anything to the house since you bought it?
Sorry?
Have you done anything to the house since
No.
you bought it?
And I guess you did confirm it before, but I'll ask you again. So the level of renovation in your house is, you would say like a good quality level of renovation?
It's good quality, wouldn't argue that. No walls were moved. Structurally, nothing has changed in the house. No plumbing fixture, whatever, has been moved from where it was before. So the house is exactly the same The difference is it's rewired. Some of the plumbing has been changed. It has new windows and doors. The floors, they took carpets out and refinished the hardwood floors over there, which were fucked. And the kitchen and bathrooms, they've changed the cabinets and the countertops. And the furnace and water heater were put in at the time. But there was no open area construction or anything like that.
You provided some comparables here, I just wasn't sure. 880 Wellington Crescent, do you know when was that sold?
Which one? 880?
Yeah,
It's at 2018 MLS number, but it doesn't tell us when.
oh, I see.
Like it's really dark, it's like really light, so 1827, that's probably
Oh, I see.
the middle part of the year, hey, Marcel?
Yep.
Okay, so this was reference, right?
Yeah.
980 or
I guess.
880. Yep, middle part.
880 Wellington.
You're looking for the sale?
Oh, yes.
Stop. This one. You were talking the sale year on that, Arca?
Yeah, one.
It was sold in
Was the
September.
post reference sale?
September of last year.
Okay. So I guess on 703 it says 19, so I would assume it's 90, more or 2019, right? The 703 Wellington Crescent.
And that one, I would say, is the same kind of interior. The kitchen is much fancier in this house because they did made a bigger kitchen out of it.
And when you bought your house in September of 2017, did you, I guess, you mentioned you looked at some other houses too, right?
Yep. We looked at 50 Waterloo, the one that, one of your comparables.
Okay.
Sandy went through it.
I did, yeah.
So you didn't buy it?
And it had a lot more done as far as renovations than ours. Like, they had opened up the kitchen and put a fountain.
The
and
yard
whatnot.
was much bigger.
So, and I guess, it sold for less than, do you know what was the asking price at 50 Waterloo? Were they asking for way more than what it sold for? Or?
Which one is this?
Comparable number two, like property owner mentioned that they considered that as
50
as
Waterloo,
an
I
option.
think that was just about what they were asking for.
Okay, but,
It might have been $1.05 million, that house.
I can't remember. It was quite a bit before, or the year before, because we were coming from BC
okay. And,
at
you-
different times.
Okay, I don't have any other
Yeah.
questions. That's all, thanks.
Now, the Waterloo houses, when they talk about Wellington being the most expensive street, I would argue that Waterloo is right up there, and their lot sizes are bigger.
And there's less traffic.
Yeah.
Like, I take
Less night
exception
visitors.
to the light traffic on Wellington. Anyways, that isn't.
Any other questions, Arca?
I don't have any other questions.
Tracy?
I have no questions.
Gisella?
I have no questions, thank you.
What was the asking price on your house when you bought it?
1.199.
1,199,000?
Yeah.
So 1.2 million.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's just what I was gonna say.
1.99, real estate talk.
Yeah.
Leave it with us. We'll have our discussion and you'll be hearing from us.
Great, thank you.
And welcome back
for
to
your
Winnipeg.
time. Yes. It's actually very nice to be back.
Closer to the kids, it's always nice to be back.
And grandchildren.
Yeah.
Kids are just ugly stuff.
Doesn't work that way.
Okay,
Kids
thank
were
you,
stuck
everyone,
with.
sorry.
Grandkids is what we come home for.
Yeah, that's right.
Next one is 151
Ah,
Yeah.
he's not here? Okay.
Count that, call you
Just
There's a restaurant?
get
We'll
an
do that in the
explanation
back
of
of the
how
house.
the circuit process works.
Thank you.
So that
Bring it back to
if
one
they
of the
ever
last
decide to
ones.
challenge again, then they have a basic knowledge. Not me, them,
Okay,
like
okay,
people
so
like that.
We're not doing that one yet.
Yeah, they-
We're gonna come back at it.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna go to 790 Queenston. Brian,
Yep, that's nice.
you're up.
You mind me asking what's after that? I just wanted to have to know if it's the money in the meter.
After that one will be...
Four
Renfrew?
27.
59?
I can do
59?
that.
You? You got time to go feed your meter.
Yeah.
Well, I got till 1:45, so I might be okay.
Will
Should I
you swear
go
in or
feed
affirm
it?
this?
Are you on the street?
Please state
I'm
your
just
name.
over here.
On the street though, or?
Yeah.
Do you affirm the evidence you present today is the truth and the
Just
truth
in
and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. This is also for you for me.
You can wait a little while.
I'll be able to
Get the extra.
If not, maybe you can go before me.
Yep, we can do
No
that.
issue.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Pictures, I love pictures.
Arca, when you're ready, please.
The subject property, parcel ID 1205229000, street address 790 Queenston Street in South River Heights. Two-story single dwelling, 1955 year built, 1990 effective age. 1,513 square feet for living area, full basement and the basement finish. One full bath, two half baths, one shower. Central air conditioner, two fireplaces, detached multi-car garage, 4,417 square feet for lot size. 2020 assessment, $502,000. Total assessment per square foot, $331.79. The four comparables are all in South River Heights neighborhoods. They're all two-story single dwellings. So comparable one is 1618 Masters Way West, 1965 year built, 1990 effective age, 1,696 square feet for living area, full basement and the basement finish, one full bathroom, two half bathrooms, one shower, central air, one fireplace, and a detached multi-car garage, 4,415 square feet for lot size. Time adjusted sale price $523,600. Time adjusted sale price per square foot $308.73. Sold in January of 2018. 799 Elm Street is comparable number 2. 1956 year build, 1986 effective age, 1,310 square feet for lot size, for living area. Full basement, basement finish, one full bathroom, one half bathroom and a shower. Central air, a detached single-car garage, 4,805 square feet for lot size, $439,400. Time adjusted sale price $335.42 for time adjusted sale price per square foot. Sold in September of 2017. 862 Boardroom, 1959 year build, 2000 effective age, 1,386 square feet for living area. Full basement and the basement finish, 3 full bathrooms, 1 half bathroom and 1 shower. Central air, detached single-car garage, 4,920 square feet for assessed lot size. Time adjusted sale price $466,900. Time adjusted sale price per square foot $336.87. Sold in June of 2017. 1422 Masters Bay East is comparable number 4. 1963 year build, 1985 effective age. 1,994 square feet for the living area, full part area for basement type. Basement finish, 1 full bathroom, 2 half bathrooms, 1 shower, central air conditioner, 2 fireplaces, detached multi-car garage, 6,010 square feet for lot size. Time adjusted sale price per square foot. Time adjusted sale price $574,600. Time adjusted sale price per square foot $289.62. Sold in December of 2017. Subject property was inspected last week on Friday morning, and since 2010 purchase of subject property, at the time it has had renovations done to the house, such as kitchen, windows. Property owner did point out there's some cracks and in the house. So just to mention, so there's cracks inside, there's cracks on the stucco. Some stucco has been repaired. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Do you have any questions of Parker before you make the presentation?
Sure, I've never done this before, this is my first go at this, so bear with me I guess. I'm just looking at Arca's comps here that he did, and without actually physically seeing the houses or viewing them, because I just got the information this morning, I did view a couple on my tablet there. I'd like to point out that I guess if you're looking at my house compared to 1, 2 and 3, I don't know how that works, but if you compare it to number 1, there is like a 10-year difference in the age of the house. Plus, if you look at the square foot, it's bigger. So that's why I would say, you know, and it's Mathers Bay West, which is a nice little cul-de-sac area, not a through street. So I'm just looking at some of the comps here, and quite bigger lots sizes here, comparable to mine. Further south you go of my actual location of the house. So I'm not sure how all this really works, but I would say if I had to pick a comparable one closest to my own house, it would be comp number 3, and even that has a bigger lot. And when I looked at the stats on the house, it has 4 bedrooms and 3.5 baths. So I guess that's all I've got to say about the comparable stuff. So, and do I talk about my comparables that I found now?
Yep.
Okay. The copy that I gave you, I marked off a couple there that I found between this is from the City Winnipeg site there. And I guess the one I thought was closer to my house was 675 Elm Street.
We didn't ask questions, did we?
Not.
I did not.
Do I have to ask questions?
No, you asked him a
Oh.
question, we're gonna ask him some
Oh,
questions
sorry.
maybe. Do you have any questions, Tracy?
I do not have any
You
questions.
don't? Do you have any yourself?
I do not.
That you do this to me, wouldn't you? I'm sorry I interrupted.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Sorry.
That's okay.
We'll get back to Arca after.
Better to get it done properly.
Okay, so which page are you on now that you're,
Yeah, I was going to compare it to 675 Elm Street,
yeah,
the second page over, I guess. Sale year of 2017, and the adjusted price there was $437. And I guess I'd like to say that my price there on our house is currently based at $502,000, which would like to argue that I think is not realistic in this market. So do I continue on with my presentation?
please do.
Okay, so I picked a couple out of that list there that I gave you, but I would probably say 675 Elm Street's pretty comparable to what my house looked like. I drove by it and I took some photos. Unfortunately, my printer had a malfunction the weekend, hence the proper photos. So a bit of background. We bought the house in 2010. It was newly renovated in 2009, 2010 until we bought it. I guess the original owner of the house lived there for 30 odd years since it was built or something, and then there was a second guy that bought it who renovated and sold it to us. So it shows very nice, and we were very happy with our purchase, but as you can go through some of the pictures that I took, there is a fair bit of cracking and stuff. The wife put them in order for us, like the ceiling on the ensuite, going up the stairs, under all our windows is cracking and stuff. Going down to our basement is more cracking and that, so there is a fair bit of structural work. Photos number 2 is the living room bulkhead, starting to really crack, and we're kind of worried that's going to be more structural than just, you know, cosmetic. Also on the outside there, we've had major cracking in the stucco and stuff. Number 4 was just cracking under all windows. Yes, he renovated all the windows, but I don't know like how good a job he did. And then obviously, if you look at our kitchen, it's a very nice kitchen, presents very well, but we actually had Kitchen Craft come in to do a repair, and they said it was obviously a second kitchen that the guy bought, and you can look at some of the photos there, which is number 5. There's cracks, some of the panels are starting to warp and all that sort of stuff, so that wasn't installed. She said it wasn't installed by their installers, basically. So I think the house in all shows very well and is nice. When we bought it back in 2010, it absolutely blew our minds there. We paid $394,000 for it. And since we bought it, it was fully renovated. We haven't spent any real money on there to prove it, apart from doing general maintenance on, which is shingles and all that kind of stuff, just upkeep basically. But the reason we came in today was, or I came in with my wife's support, I guess, was when you look at our assessments from back in the day, it was originally valued at $283,000. Then it jumped to $359,000, obviously with the renovations and stuff. Then we had another major jump of $387,000 back in 2012.
Do you have the years on those?
Oh yes, sorry. April 2010, $283,000, and that was probably because the original owner had never really got it recessed, right? And I don't think there was any renovation done prior to the guy buying it. Then we have another one, June 2011, it jumped to $349,000. Which, you know, we obviously bought, not really knowing, so okay, it was renovated, we paid more money for it, we understood. Then April 2012, we have another reassessment of $387,000. So again, we thought, me and the wife thought, oh, that's reflective of the market value, basically. And then as we go up through the years, April 2014, it was $434,000. Then jumped another 30-odd thousand to April 2016, $468,000. And now, like April 2018, we're assessed at $502,000. And I guess on Chris, I think was he was talking about the 13% increase in the plates. So if you looked at his increase, that's approximately $50,000. So even if you said we paid $400,000 for it back in 2010, over the 13% increase, we should be around the $450,000, not the $500,000. So obviously you want to see your property go up with the times, right? It's all good to hopefully make money when you sell the property, but I don't think without putting some serious money into the property, we're not getting $502,000 for that place at the moment without major renovations. So I guess that's my argument here today.
Arca, any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Gisela?
Okay, I'm just wondering, you purchased the home in 2010,
That's correct?
and you submitted these pictures, and you indicated that some of these cracks had happened as a result of renovations?
No, they haven't happened from the renovations, but since we've moved in, that's the cracks and the deterioration of the house itself, right? And we haven't spent any money to repair that, because until we decide to leave, which could be another 20 years, probably not worth painting inside. They're still holding up, but we're worried about the guy renovated, and it shows very nice. And Arca went round my place on Friday morning, and I showed him a lot of the cracks, but obviously after he left and I was looking at more, every time you look you see more and more structural damage to the house, right? So my argument is that yes, we had some nice renovations done to it and they showed very well. I think they were basically cosmetic renovations to flip the house. And like for example too, the house is very, very cold. It's a 1955 build, and I'm originally from Australia, so the first winter we're like, man, this is cold. The furnace was going. So with the year after, we had some guys come in, exterior guys, can we put some spray foam in? And they tested, and you know, he just did the outside, painted it, and there's no insulation. What insulation was in the house is all fallen down over the years, as the age does, right? So, and to do that was a major 30 grand touch to do that, repaint, re-stucco, what are you going to do to repair it again? And then obviously everything else in the house is looks very nice, it showed very nice back in them days, but over the years it didn't age well, and I guess my point is. And then the furnace and the hot water systems back in mid-2000s that are obviously going to come up to be getting replaced in the near future.
In terms of the internal cracking and external cracking, have you had any estimates done as to how much it might cost to repair that?
I showed Arca there on Friday. I had a small piece of stucco that blew out from one of my side entrance door, and I think that repair was like $600-700, but that was just a local guy from a friend at work that got him kind of do it, you know, part-time kind of thing. But no, we haven't, because I'm just patching them as I go kind of thing, just to try to make it waterproof, and obviously if it got any worse, we'd have to get some repair done to it, for sure.
Thank you.
Tracy?
I have nothing, thank you. I like pictures.
Yeah, well, that's because my printer actually bit the dust, and I was like, what am I gonna do now? So I had to run up to Shoppers Drug Mart.
Here we go, shoppers, take a long one. So you were looking for what?
I think,
So many numbers I got lost.
oh,
there.
sorry, I think a fair assessment on my place is probably 450K or something like that. Just going on the 13% thing that Chris had suggested, the River Heights has gone up in the last, say, 10 years.
No, that was for 2014.
Oh, 2014, okay, for sure, okay.
Which were brought.
But we already had a couple big jumps up that would have brought us up there, because if you look back at the, it was back at the assess back in when we bought it, 283,000. So even if you went to 400,000, we're still like going up double what it should have done in the last, I just think that our fear was it just keeps jumping up quite considerably, and then if the next one's coming around the corner at 2020, where are we going to be at then? Like, if we kept going with the trend, we'd be up at 550 basically, and there's no way that would anybody come and walk in and just give me that cash for that place at the moment.
I think she's got another question.
I'm sorry. This record that we have shows that you paid $393,000 for the house in 2010, is that correct?
Yeah, I thought it was 394, but it might have been 393. I can't
Okay,
100% reckon.
thank you.
It's just under 400K.
Right.
Okay, leave it with us.
Right.
We'll be hearing.
Appreciate your time today.
That's all we have. And the next one is,
59 rent.
we're saving you for that.
Not quite, I think there's somebody in the hall, it's,
Come on home. She can probably tell her to come in so she can watch it.
I think she was worried about a car.
She's staying out there.
She's on her phone.
You need this?
No, we can't hear it. He brought all the copies.
I unfortunately do
Yes,
not
we
rent
can.
properties.
This is 59.
59 Renfrew.
We are going to take a short break now.
Are we?
Yes, 5 minutes, please.
Sure.
Call the meeting back to order.
Okay.
And we're dealing with the Renfrew property, correct?
Correct. Will you swear in or affirm today?
I'll just,
Okay. Please state your name.
Dog sector?
Do you affirm the evidence you'll present today is the truth and the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Great. For you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And you have enough to distribute this morning?
You know I don't. I
Yes.
have one.
You do verbal presentation.
Okay. I apologize for that.
No apologize, no necessary. Arca, when you are ready.
59 Renfrew.
Oh,
Okay,
I know.
Number
Subject
13.
property.
Number 13. Look at the bottom number.
There we go.
So subject property, parcel ID 12070014000, 59 Renfrew Street in Sergeant Franklin neighborhood, two-story single dwelling, 2014 year build, same year effective age, 3,100 square feet living area, full basement, no basement finish, 1 full bathrooms, 2 full bathrooms, 2 showers, central air conditioner, attached multi-car garage, 5,038 square feet of lot size, 2020 assessment $864,000, total assessment per square foot $278.71. So comparable one, so let's see. So comparable one is 403 Oxford, 620, North River Heights neighborhood, two-story single dwelling, 2010 year build, 2010 effective age, 2,467 square feet of living area, full basement and no basement finish, 2 full bathrooms, 2 half bathrooms and 2 showers, central air, 1 fireplace, detached multi-car garage, 4,810 square feet of lot size, bus route, external corner and the light traffic are the influences, time adjusted sale price $916,800, time adjusted sale price per square foot $371.63, sold in October of 2017. 55 Renfrew is comparable number 2 in Search of Franklin neighborhood, two-story single dwelling, 1929 year build, 1990 effective age, 1,944 square feet for living area, full basement and the basement finish, 1 full bathrooms, 2 half bathrooms and a shower, central air, 1 fireplace, detached single car garage, 5,038 square feet of lot size. Time adjusted sale price $664,000. Time adjusted sale price per square foot $341.56. Sold in June, July of 2016. 158 Cordova in North River Heights as comparable number 3, 1925 year build, 2,000 effective age, 2,319 square feet of living area, full basement and the basement finish, 2 full bathrooms, 2 half bathrooms and 2 showers, central air, 1 fireplace, detached single car garage, 5,237 square feet for lot size. Time adjusted sale price $921,500. Time adjusted sale price per square foot $397.37. Sold in October of 2016. 270 Niagara is a two-story single dwelling in North River Heights, 1927 year build, 1997 effective age. 2,036 square feet of living area, full basement and the basement finish, 2 full bathrooms, 2 half bathrooms and 2 showers, central air conditioner, 1 fireplace, attached multi-car garage, 4,410 square feet for lot size, time adjusted sale price $839,700, time adjusted sale price per square foot $412.43, sold in June of 2017.
Thank you. Do you have any questions of the assessor before you make your presentation?
I don't believe so. Can I go back and ask him questions?
Oh, we might just allow that.
Okay.
Do you have any
If I
questions,
think
Tracy?
so.
Just at comp number 2,
This is over here.
almost identical except the age of that's it. Have you seen 55 Renfrew? Any knowledge of the level of renovations or condition or?
No, I don't have the information that you asked. Like it is smaller, right? It's only slightly under 2,000 square feet in the living area versus subject property over 3,000 square feet.
Thank you, fair enough. That's it, thank you.
Gisela?
I have no questions, thank you.
When was the first assessment done on this house then? Was it done in 2014 when it was built? Or was it done in 15 or 16?
I have information with me that goes back to 2014.
Yeah,
So at that time, we already assessed at $780,000.
780?
80.
Is that when it was new
That
then,
seems
right?
correct.
That's, yeah, 2014,
Yeah,
Sorry, again.
you're getting confused now. So it was around 780 when it was new. They must have done that's probably when they got the permits all finished up.
I would assume so, yes.
So that was 2014.
14.
Good. On with your presentation.
Okay. So I only have information as of assessment year 2016, and I have a 780 there, so that seems correct. Okay, well, I'll start by apologizing for not having documentation to provide to you. My wife handed me this as she is in Chicago at an appraisal course, actually, interestingly enough. And she normally has done this in the past, so I have some things to discuss and we'll see where it goes. So in 2017, I guess this is the assessment I have in 2017. It must be 2016 because it goes every 2 years, but I have a document for 2017 where we were reassessed, 780 went to 800, and that was an increase of about 2.5%. The following 2018, it was proposed that we go from 800 to 878, which was 9.7%. Sarah, my wife, came in here and it ended up being at 824 at the end of the day, a 3% increase. So the first one was 2.5, then a 3% increase. Now, the 2020, the proposal is from 824 to 864, which is essentially a 4.9% increase. Okay, just to talk about the chronology of that. It's approximately $40,000. So we increased 20 grand, 24 grand, and then now this time it's a suggestion of 40 grand. I'm making a proposal for again around a $20,000 hike as opposed to a $40,000 hike in keeping with the current rate that we've had in the past. Some points I'll put. It is a new house. We built the house ourselves. I'm an architect. Very industrial, so it's not ornate in any way. Essentially, it's drywall walls, very simple design. Structural steel is exposed in the house, so it's quite simple. I think it's quite elegant, but it's also quite simple. So not ornate. It should be noted that this street, we built on this street because we thought in the future it would develop well. I don't believe it's at the same rate of development as other areas of River Heights, simply because the street is a very short street. There's only 7 houses on our side of the street. And on the end of the street, on Academy, we're quite close to Academy, where we have essentially 4 walk-up rentals on the corner. They're all 600 square foot units. And then on the other side of Academy, again, is rental. So we're in a pocket of, you can see those little bigger lots on that lot plan there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 there. We're in a pocket of River Heights that has a lot of rentals. Across the street from us, 3 of the houses of the 8 houses on the other side of the street, I believe. There's a little more than that actually, but 3 of the houses are actually rental houses, rental properties. So there's a lot of turnover on the street. Across from the street, in our laneway, currently there's a dumpster on the corner where it kind of tees, and there's a commercial building in that large square off Academy there, which has a lot of traffic from there's a sushi place there that has constant smells and things coming out of it. So we're kind of at the edge of the River Heights proper, and so being, we hoped the street would become developed eventually. In fact, I wanted to have a plan to renovate those rentals, to become condos or something, so people would have a little more ownership of them. So I just want to make that note that this is not, it's River Heights, but I see it developing in maybe 10 years, 5-10 years, hopefully, and getting a little more up. Most of the houses on the street are 700 square feet or under, and in the range of $300,000. I'd say 70% of those houses are probably in that range. All the lots are 40-foot lots, so they're not large lots. Let's see here. So as far as the comparables that we have shown to us here, I'll just talk about them really quickly. All of them seem to be built on existing foundations. Is that, can I ask a question? I think it looks like they're all built on existing foundations. Most of them have finished basements. Actually, all of them have finished basements. Our basement's not finished. It's just a slab down there right now. We do not have a fireplace. Again, quite industrial feel. And all of them have some elaborate components, ornate detailing or something like that. And ours is a very modern house, so it's kind of stripped of all ornamentation. So yeah, that's basically my argument. I don't mind a slight raise. I think that's keeping with obviously the pattern that's happened in the past of 2.5%, 3%, 3%, whatever. If that continued, I think we're at just about 5%, and I'd like to see a continuation of the past trends of that height. Because if I keep going at 5% for a while, I mean, already I'm the castle on the street, and we built a home that was a bit of a show home for what I do, modern architecture. So I don't think we'll ever get our money out of the house, but you know, I've gotten some work out of it. That's the goal.
Mark, are you got any questions?
So, I guess, so your house is new, right, on a new foundation, correct?
Correct.
It's modern in design, correct?
Correct.
So when you built it, was that, okay, with the modern design style, would you please describe it? Did you use like material used? Are they average, lower grade materials that you used in your house?
I'd say lower. Our house is composed of hardy board panels, which is a cementatious board. It's often in the other homes I do, it's a cost saving endeavor when we use hardy board. I use it in an interesting way, but it's still a very affordable building material. And the other material I did is we actually poured a 1-inch layer of concrete on the outside of the front of the house, as opposed to using a stone or a brick, because we found it a much more affordable way to have an interesting look in the front of the house, but yet do something that was not hardy board. So it's a combination of hardy board and a concrete 1-inch poured layer, I guess, on the front box of the house. So, and then there's we have some large windows, which are in the house as well, and some acrylic stucco.
So you would agree that, so what you're saying is hardy board and acrylic stucco is a lower grade of material, correct?
Acrylic stucco is, I would say, a medium grade material, because if you use a standard stucco, it's, you know, a dash stucco, it's cheaper. Acrylic stucco is what they use on commercial buildings.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a medium, I would say a medium grade. It's about $20 a square foot.
So what would you consider a higher grade then?
Higher grade would be aluminum panels instead of, there's a house on Wellington that's used aluminum panels instead of hardy board, for example. Or you can use, some Tyndall stone has been done extensively in the neighborhood. Any kind of masonry work is quite expensive.
That's what I'm saying is like your house does have a, so I guess it's not on a lower grade per se as vinyl siding or.
Definitely not, no, not as vinyl siding, but hardy board is quite an affordable product material. Cementatious.
No, it is, and it's affordable, but yes, it is not. I would personally place it in a. Would you agree that it's placed in a rank like vinyl siding, traditional stucco cement? Then you would move up to hardy boards, acrylic stuccos.
Yeah, I mean, from a costing standpoint, hardy board is quite affordable. We're using it to save
per
costs.
unit, right? Or per labor?
Per square foot,
Per square foot, labor
Yeah.
inclusive or just the material?
labor inclusive.
Okay.
Yeah, we have some good trades that do it for a good price. Yeah, I mean, the house, there's no argument, my house looks very cool, and people walk in and they think, that's a cool house. So, there's a value to that, for sure, that's what I do for a living. But, as far as cost of construction, quite affordable, actually, surprisingly.
So what was the cost of construction?
Well, I called it a lot of favors, but it's around 700.
And I guess we have it, your lot purchase at 212, correct? In 2012, you purchased on land for $215,000.
Land was purchased for 214,
215, yeah.
214.9.
Yeah. I don't have any other questions, so that's it.
Tracy?
I just want to say one more thing.
Sure.
You know, I built way above the value of the street and the value of the house, because again, this is a business for me. It's part of what I do is selling products. So.
I'm good,
You're
thank you.
good? Gisella?
I'm just wondering if there have been any upgrades to the home since 2014 when you moved into it. Okay. And you say you paid $215,000 for the lot.
For the house, there was a house.
Oh, there was a house, so you
Yeah, it
had
was
to rent
about
the house down.
It was a 650 or just around there square foot home. That was actually, I thought it was in better shape than it was, and it ended up being a derelict home. It was not salvageable. I didn't-
So you tore it down?
Yes, we rented it for a year, and in that, we planned on having it as a rental property. And rented it for about a year, and during that time realized I didn't want to be a slumlord. And so we had to make a decision on what to do with that house, because the tenant could actually see his breath in the basement, and he couldn't do his laundry on cold days. So, and it was drywall in the basement, it looked fine, we thought it was insulated, but it was not.
And was the tear down included in the price of $215,000?
Tear down? No, that was.
And how much was the tear down?
I don't remember at the time, it was kind of clumped into that whole construction amount.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
You have a good one. We'll get back to that one. And the next one, now that I'm really confused. 737 Mont Road, your house.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day. You gonna come help Sally out, or you're gonna hang back this time?
He's there more or less.
Oh, so you swear in or affirm this morning?
Give me the Bible, nobody else is taking it.
Please state your name.
Sally Bruce.
Do you swear the evidence you present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
We can be chairs.
Thank you.
Arca, when you were ready.
parcel ID 12042149100737 Montrose in Street in South River Heights neighborhood. Is a two-story single dwelling, 1959 year built, 10-year effective age, 1,461 square feet of living area, full basement, no basement finish, one full bathroom, one half bathroom, central air conditioner, detached multi-car garage, 4,599 square feet for lot size. Assessment, 2020 assessment is $340,000. Total assessment per square foot is $232.70. Comparables are on the same neighborhood as subject properties. They are all similar building type and building code, two-story single dwelling. So comparable one is at 808 Boardroom. It's a two-story, 1956 year build, 1956 effective age, 1,310 square feet for living area, full basement and the basement finish, one full bathroom, one half bathroom and one shower, central air, detached multi-car garage, 4,800 square feet for lot size. Damage asset sale price $315,300. Damage asset sale price per square foot $240.69. Sold in August of 2016. Comparable to is 820 Oxford, 1958 year build, 10-year effective age, 1,217 square feet for living area, full basement and the basement finish, one full bathroom, central air, one fireplace, and attached single car garage. 6,017 square feet for lot size. Time adjusted sale price $347,800. Time adjusted sale price per square foot $285.78. Sold in April of 2017. 804 Boardroom is comparable number 3. 1956 year built, same year effective age, 1,415 square feet for living area, full basement and the basement finish, one full bathroom, one half bathroom and one shower. Central air conditioner, one fireplace and a detached multi-car garage. 5,280 square feet for lot size. Time adjusted sale price $416,500. Time adjusted sale price per square foot is $294.35. Sold in September of 2017. 648 Ash Street, 1950 year built, 1960 effective age. Actually, I'll stand correct. I didn't notice it. Comparable 3 has 1966 effective age. When I read it, I didn't. I saw it the same, so my mistake. So comparable 4, 1950 year built, 1960 effective age. 1,248 square feet for living area. Basement, full basement with a basement finish. One full bathroom, one half bathroom. Central air conditioner, one fireplace, and detached multi-car garage, 4,805 square feet for lot size. Time adjusted sale price $358,800. Time adjusted sale price per square foot $287.50. Sold in December of 2016. All I have, thank you.
Do you have any questions of the assessor?
Yes, I do. One of your comparables, 820 Oxford Street. When I was researching, I did notice that house, and it's listed as two-story, but it is in actuality a split level, and it has kind of a unique situation with the foundation. It's partly crawl space, and they have a section of the house that is not used right now, so I don't think that that should really be considered as a comparable.
Well, it's, I guess, I'll have to take a look at it as far as information goes, whether it is, I have an MLS listing picture here for it. Let me just take a quick look at it. I guess, yes, there is a side, and yeah, to the left it has a one-story
Yeah, it's a
side
split.
here. Well, I cannot answer to you right now whether it should be or shouldn't be considered,
Yeah, that's
but
fine,
yeah,
that's
it's,
fine.
but-
Well, I would have used it as a comparable anyways, but I noticed that, so. I also noticed that, and I know that you can't get anything exactly the same because I tried, that they're all bigger lots and they all have finished basements, which seems to be pretty much unavoidable.
Yes, exactly. Well, for the most part, yes. When you comparables, depends on the area. In your area, it is a lot of sales to have basement finish. So to the fact, so it will have to be adjusted based on that, because you don't have this page, correct?
Right.
Okay.
That's all I have, any questions?
Tracy?
No questions, thank you.
Sally?
Questions, thank you.
Martha? We're up to you, Sally.
Okay, well, we've got my lengthy, submission. Now, generally, there's two areas in which I wanted to appeal this assessment, and one of them is the situation at the back of my property where the parking pad is. I have done this on a number of occasions before on that same basis, and it has been found to be valid. The other is the comparables, and the difficulty with finding comparables, aside from finding a place that does not have a finished basement, is finding now houses in River Heights. It seems that in the target, in my size range, those are the ones that are being flipped, and we're talking major, we're talking moving out the walls, and they're getting rid of all the rooms and making them open concept, and they're just like a new build, but they're in River Heights, and they're selling. It's in the books. I've seen it, like over $100,000 more as a result of the renovation, which makes it. We were talking about that earlier, and just the amount of money that's put into place, and then the people who buy the house have to pay the price of that, and it goes on and on and on. But what can you do? My first, let's see, I've got a little picture of mine there. I just call your attention on the first page there, that my house does not have extensive renovations. I do clean, it's not horrible, I have paint, but I have the original furnace, and if it is indeed from '59, what does that make it? Like a 60-year-old furnace. Original windows, kitchen cabinetry, and an unfinished basement. So those are the structural or the necessary parts of a house that make a difference when selling it and when buying it. There's an explanatory letter about the posts that are on the parking pad at the rear of the property. There's a picture. Gives an idea of the size, I suppose it would have helped having a car parked there, but we stopped being able to put two cars into the garage, so it's in essence a single garage. You may notice on that picture that the weather stripping there on the side is damaged. That's because of trying to get two cars into the garage. Okay, so my comparables, and the interesting thing is that actually there's one in common with the assessor. 808 Boardbank I have used as well. 704 Boardbank is one. I don't know if I need to go through those. You could look at those later. What I tried to do is find some places that were obviously not fixed up. And when you look at the pictures and the listings, it becomes more apparent which ones have not had been fixed up for sale. Pretty much tell by the amount that they say. Well, the one on Montrose, 457 Montrose, we have seen that house since it was in this condition. They did not change the foundation or anything. They painted the outside, and they've obviously done some renovations on the inside. But it wasn't anything structural that caused it to go for what is a pretty low price for that size of house. And my last one, I didn't have it written down on the comparable sales. If you look at 634 Beaverbrook, the last listing there, the reason, I was going to use it, but then I went to look at the sell date, and on the listing it says February the 6th of 2016, which would be out of the target range. But on on the city's sale books, it appears as June. Now, I don't know if they have reverted the month and the day, or if it just, for some reason, took that long to appear in the sale books. I don't know. You know that. Anyway. Then we go down past the comparables, and I had a real estate agent come recently, August 30th of this year, to look at the house and give me an idea of its market value. And she estimated that I would get, for a selling price, $340,000 to $350,000. Now that's this year as opposed to 2018. So if we take off like what, 3%, 3.4%, I think it was supposed to have gone up. First year, first quarter year over year, this year over last. Then it comes down to 328, between 228 and 338, is what she estimated. Now, the following page, she, I had asked her specifically, and you can see my email there underneath, where I asked her if she would be comfortable in stating what she thought would be the dollar value on the effect of the barricade at the back, and she said 10 to 15,000. In quite some time ago, I mean, I think it was in 2014, I had Rod Peeler do the same thing, a market analysis, and he estimated on his little piece of paper here 10%, which ends up being more than the 10 to 15%, or 10 to $15,000. I think I've pretty much got it in a nutshell without really, well, just if I wanted to talk about one of those, the 804 Boardbank in particular. I happen to have a listing here because I actually anticipated that it might be used as a comparable. And in that listing, they mentioned all the things that have been done to it, or refinished hardwoods, and it talks about a pantry with pull-outs, king-size upgraded 4-piece bath, mostly newer windows, high-efficiency furnace, central bath, alarm, rec room, hot tub. The garage is heated and insulated. There's just a lot of things that make it kind of above and beyond to not really be comparable to my place. Also, I did, just as we were sitting here this morning, I looked up 648 Ash. I didn't have any information on that. And again, the listing reads move-in condition, remodeled kitchen with granite countertops, remodeled bath, finished basement with a rec room and a bath. It's got a screened-in sunroom. It's had new plumbing, new windows. It was initially listed at $279, which I find very interesting too. But then that's what seemed to happen is the agents were listing them at a modest price. And these places that were fixed up caught people's eye, and they really wanted it, and they overbid. I don't know, do you have any questions on me?
Marka, any questions?
Actually, just to double check, so your house is in, I guess, is in maintained but not renovated, like not upgraded?
Yeah, yeah, and my husband's here, so I can't say it hasn't been maintained that well, but there's just some little fix-it things that haven't been done, but, you know, like the fence hasn't been painted. We did have the outside of the house painted, but.
The honey-to-do list is ready though, right?
Yeah. It's just, he's busy.
So at the end of the report you provided, so there is a, I guess, estimate was provided by the market, and you mentioned it to 350 to, I mean, 340 to 350, right? That's
Yeah, not current though, this year, not the 18th, so yes.
okay, so that's what's currently, right?
Yeah.
So and you were asking for about 3%, you mentioned. Right?
Reduction on that, and then she
Yeah.
said it would make a difference of $10,000 to $15,000 with the posts in consideration, so lower than that 340 to 350.
Yeah, just my calculation was that if you take 350 minus 3%, it comes out about to what the current assessment is.
Well, okay, I did go through that, and it was 238 to 338, was this? With the 3%? Anyway, and then you consider the 10 to 15,000 reduction, or in Rod Peeler's estimation, 10%, which is considerably more. What I really think is probably a really fairer number is 315. Mine went up to 11%, and we know that the market didn't go up 11% in that time. So, like I can say, considering the posts and everything, I think 315 to 317,000.
What was your last assessment?
My last assessment was 306.
Tracy, any questions?
Yeah, I do have kind of one question. I don't even know if this is possible or not, but have you explored the option of moving the door, so you maybe
Yes.
can't use the?
Yes, and somebody down the street from us did do that, and I actually asked somebody just recently on that again.
Yeah.
And they said, because we're very close to the lane, and if you have my taxation information, you know, I have an easement for my eaves that are already extending into city property. What it would mean is that the door would be pretty much on the lane, and anytime they came down to plow, I would probably have my door knocked in with snow. So it's not really feasible. It's just kind of morbid and all the rest of it, but the elderly neighbor, I just keep hoping things are gonna change for her, and we're gonna be able to appeal to a new neighbor, essentially, but so far it hasn't happened.
We'll buy a bigger truck.
Well, and it's been suggested, and by a number of people. Actually, they offered to do it for free.
Questions, Gisela?
How long have you owned the house?
30 years? Yeah, 30 years.
And when were these steel poles put up in the back lane by your neighbor?
In the early 2000s, and I don't know exactly what year. Yeah, like 2005, I'm guessing, but I don't know, it could have been.
It was a long time ago.
Okay, it was a long time.
It was, now it's no longer current use or whatever. There's no longer, at least I would think legally speaking, we'd no longer have that avenue. Customary use, you
Yeah.
know, but I don't know.
For the 30 years you've lived in your home, have you upgraded anything? Windows, roof?
This roof's been changed, yes. No windows. I mentioned that there are original windows, original kitchen cabinetry. 25 years ago, we changed the kitchen countertop. We live very neatly, we're very clean and all the rest of it, and we're not hard on things, and we haven't changed anything. Flooring has been changed, linoleum in the kitchen and also in the upstairs bath. We changed a blue toilet and sink that was in the bath to a white one when we first
No.
moved in, yes. And we changed a green tub.
Not hardly school.
A green tub and a green toilet in the upstairs bath to white ones, but again, that was when we moved in.
Those are antiques.
Yes.
Yeah, well, you know, they are, it was cast iron, and we put it in the back and somebody actually came and took it.
Of course.
Well, it weighed a ton. It would have taken a few people to get it on the truck.
Any
Now,
more
I
questions?
I
Oh,
just
yeah, no.
noticed that Rod Peeler's estimate didn't have a date on it.
Yeah, and you know what, that was taken from it was taken from a 2014 assessment, so it's older, but I hesitated about it, but I thought the situation is the same, nothing else has changed about it, but I didn't put in the supporting documentation. He essentially described our house as a little bit below average in his market analysis, but Lauren did not really say that so much.
Okay, thank you, that's all my questions.
And I've got none. I think I've asked them all before.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Sally.
You're welcome, thank you for your time.
Okay, now I've got this all messed up. This one. 17 and 18 we're going to. I've been told. Amy, you can come up and we'll get you sworn in.
I've never done this before, so.
Oh, it's okay, we won't make you nervous, I promise. Anybody gonna take care of their parking, you all
I
done?
think I'm good.
You're good?
Looking
Yeah.
at
Are
it.
you good now?
Yeah. Thank you.
We've got 2 properties left to deal with.
What are we talking about now?
17
Will you
and
swear in
18.
or if
Oh,
it's swearing on the
I
Bible?
went to 10.
Please state your name.
Yours.
Do you swear the evidence you present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth and nothing but?
Okay, so open away then.
Do you have anything to dispute to the town? That's okay, if your presentation is good.
Yep.
Rupert's Land?
And 468.
I'm on the right page. Good news.
Arcar, when you're ready.
So subject property is with parcel ID, before I start, we're starting with 793 Axel, correct?
Yes.
So we're on the same page, yeah?
Yep.
So parcel ID, 12041104300, 793 Oxford Street, South River Heights neighborhood, one-story single dwelling, 1958 year built, 10-year effective age, 978 square feet of living area, full basement and the basement finish, 2 full bathrooms, central air, detached multi-car garage, 6,377 square feet for lot size, 2020 assessment $302,000, total assessment per square foot $308.79. For the comparable, they are all in South River Heights neighborhood. So compare, they're all one-story single dwelling, built in or around where subject property's effective age is. It's very close in living area square footage, so with that I will start. Comparable 805 Oxford Street, 948 square feet, 1958 year build and effective age, full basement and the basement finish, 1 full bathroom, central air, detached multi-car garage, 6,360 square feet for lot size, time adjusted sale price $321,500, time adjusted sale price per square foot $339.14. Sold in July of 2016, 819 Waverly Street, comparable number 2, 1,039,000 square feet, full basement and the basement finish, 1 full bathroom, 1 third bathroom, central air, detached multi-car garage, 6,057 square feet of lot size, heavy traffic as an influence. Time adjusted sale price $321,600. Time adjusted sale price per square foot $309.53. Sold in July of 2017. 946 Lindsay's, comparable number 3, 948 square feet. Full basement with the basement finish, 1961 year build effective age. 1 full bathroom, 1 third bathroom, 1 shower, central air, detached multi-car garage, 6,001 square feet for lot size, back lane and rail line as an influence. Time adjusted sale price $339,600. Time adjusted sale price per square foot $358.23. Sold in April of 2017. 779 Boardroom, 1955 year build and 10 year effective age, 1,048 square feet. Full basement bay and with a basement finish, 1 full bathroom, central air, detached single car garage, 6,599 square feet for lot size. Time adjusted sale price $338,000. Time adjusted sale price per square foot $322.52. Sold in July of 2017. And the subject property sold back in 2011 for $285. Thank you.
Do you have any questions of the assessor on his information?
Not really.
Okay, we'll see Tracy.
I do not, I'm good.
I do not, thank you.
We're gonna let you off this time. On with your presentation.
Okay, I noticed the comparables that you gave there, and then I did talk to the real estate agent that sold me the original house. There are no renovations done to the house whatsoever. The garage, it does say it's a detached multi-garage, or like an oversized garage, but honestly, only 1 car can fit in the garage. Like, it's bigger than normal, but it's not big enough to stick 2 cars, maybe 2 smaller sized cars. Both fences on the back and the front are damaged. It needs to be renovated. The bathroom in the basement is damaged due to the top bathroom is leaking to the basement, which needs extensive work. It has the original everything, no renovations have been done since we moved in 2011. I did have a real estate agent do an opinion of value, because I'm going through divorce too. And I talked to him last night if he can send me another letter, but he never did send me the new letter for an opinion of value. This is the only copy, I can give it to you.
We can share it.
Yeah, and I don't need it because I have it on my computer,
Oh, you
but
have it on
it's
your
the
computer?
most, well, it was done in 2018, but he can vouch that that has not changed since that time.
Well, that's actually better.
Really? I don't know.
2018 is the year you want the report done for.
Okay, so that's his opinion of value. And so anyways, the property tax it's valued at is at 302. I do have one comparable that was sold on our house just recently on 813 Oxford. And the asking price was $299. The inside looks exactly, almost like mine, not renovated or anything. So the bathroom unfortunately is not that same color, but it's an off-white, but it's kind of got that retro 70s look to it.
So it was for sale, did it sell? Oh, I'm sorry.
It did sell,
That's okay.
and it sold for, so the asking price was $299 and it sold for $290. And that person that was living there was the original owner. Same like when we bought ours, it was the original owner too. The house is somewhat damaged from my abusive ex, so it's gonna need some extensive work on it, just basic plastering, fixing the doors up, the fence, and the 2 bathrooms needs to be, the bathroom downstairs is not usable at the moment, which is fine because we don't use the upstairs bathroom. And that's it.
That's it? Art, any questions?
Yes, on the information you provided, I just read the top part, and I right away noticed that the realtor mentioned the square footage of the house as 1,054 square feet of living space. We have it on record as 978. Would you be able to tell me where, like, do you have like a sunroom or something like that that was converted into a living area?
No sunroom or anything. It's a 3-bedroom. The bedrooms are slightly smaller. The bathroom's not huge. It's a kitchen. There's no formal dining room. It's got a living room. There is also another house that was sold just this year that has the same setup as my house, which is on 634 Renfrew Street. It has the same look as the front. I'm assuming it has the same look on the inside. Because I always find when I was trying to look at open houses just to kind of take a peek on the inside of how it's set up, it's 965 square feet. It does have a garage.
What was the square footage?
That one is 965 on Renfrew. On
Probably the same as yours.
643 Renfrew. Built almost in the same time. It was 1955. Mine is 1958. Their asking price was $294 and it sold for $285.
And that was what year?
Sold?
Mhm.
Just recently, August 20th of this, oh, is it August 20th? Oh, no, my date's wrong. You know, it says August, listed on August 20th, 2018. Sold. Maybe it's stuck. September, no. So it's September.
Sometime in September of that
Yeah.
year. Any other questions?
I didn't have any questions.
That's what I'm
I
coming to.
don't have any questions.
Tracy,
None for me, thank you.
and you're good, Giselle?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you very much. We're gonna move on to the next property, which is Rupert, 468 Rupert's. Rupert's Land. When you're ready, Arca.
So subject property with parcel ID 110106800000. Street address 468 Rupert's Land Avenue in Jefferson neighborhood is a 1-story single dwelling, 1951 year build and 1951 effective age. 875 square feet of living area with a full basement and no basement finish, 1 full bathroom, central air conditioner, no fireplaces or no garages. Lot size 5,359 square feet. Total assessment for 2020 is $220,000. Total assessment per square foot is $261.43. All of the comparables are in Jefferson neighborhood with their own one-story single dwellings. Year build and effective age is very similar to such property with comparable 3 being 1 year older. So with that, comparable one is 512 Rupert's Land, 904 square feet, full basement, no basement finish, 1 full bathroom, central air, no garages, 5,339 square feet for lot size. Time adjusted sale price $214,800. Time adjusted sale price per square foot $237.61. Sold in November of 2016. 524 Rupert Sound, comparable number 2. 904 square feet. Full basement with a basement finish, 1 full bathroom, central air conditioner, detached single car garage. 5,339 square feet for lot size. Time adjusted sale price $243,600. Time adjusted sale price per square foot $269.47. Sold in May of 2017. 521 Smithfield is comparable number 3. 792 square feet with a full basement and a basement finish, 1 full bathroom, central air, detached single car garage. 5,339 square feet for lot size. Time adjusted sale price $220,600. Time adjusted sale price per square foot $278.54. Sold in September 2016. Comparable for 321 Seven Oaks Avenue, 816 square feet. Full basement, no basement finish, 1 full bathroom, central air, no garages. 3,229 square feet for lot size. Time adjusted sale price $215,900. Time adjusted sale price per square foot $264.58. Sold in August 2016. That's all I have. Thank you.
Do you have any questions of the assessor?
No.
Okay.
No, thank you.
None?
No.
None?
Thank you.
I do. What was the question again? Do you know what the conditions were on the comparables when you looked at the MLS?
Let me see. So I have comparable 1 MLS listing. As is condition,
As is condition?
yes. Long-term owner's home is a solid and straight bungalow character throughout. Let's see what- So no mentions of any kind of upgrades or anything like that, except for shingles and water heater. So then have 524 Rupert's Land. A great starter home, it's a great area. It has a renovated main floor ready to be moved into. So renovations include fresh paint, refinished hardwood, the bathrooms and more. So that one would probably, 524 is renovated. Let's move on to the next one.
The next two are renovated.
Okay, then all I have is comparable number 3 information for the next one. That's it. Yeah, it has some renovation, like kitchen, so yeah, all 3 has renovated.
On with your presentation.
Okay, well, this house was purchased in 2004 from the original owners. When I moved in, it had 3 layers of linoleum on the floor, which I peeled off. And we tried to finish, well, we left one of the linoleum, which was still decent, cleaned it off, because it was kind of like that kind of retro, nice but well-maintained but just so much layers of linoleum. We just repainted the inside, but it has all the original finishings, the original counter. It did get a new central air in 2007 or 2008, because it never had central air, just the original furnace. The windows were changed also in 2008. Well, just the back windows, not the front windows. Because it used to have the old cottage style where you lift it and then flip it to hold it up in place. No garage. It used to be an open yard, but it is enclosed fence. Basement's not finished. It will need some work if it does go into the market, because it was a rental property. But it was damaged from the previous tenants, so it needs just a little bit of TLC before it goes on the market, and maybe finishing off the basement, because the basement's still bare concrete. And that's it for that. I do only have just one comparable, that's on Smithfield. Like, I noticed that some of the comparables, I've driven by these, and they are renovated, because some of them didn't have a garage before, didn't have a fence, but now they have a garage. I'm assuming they renovate on the inside. I can't see on the inside once they were sold. But the one comparable that I do have is at 353 Smithfield Avenue. Their asking price at the time in March 12th of 2019 was $167,500, and then it was sold on March 19th, 2019 for $196,700. It does not have a garage. Its basement is older. It doesn't say if it's finished or not. It is slightly smaller for square footage, 780.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it, because I'm trying to look at the other comparables that my real estate agent gave me. Some of them have a garage, they have a finished basement, which mine isn't. Yeah, I can't see anything off pop. But I mean, I can give you these ones. These are the ones that my real estate agent gave me for the comparables on it, if that helps out a little bit. For comparables in the area.
Yeah, we'll see if we have some questions for you. We'll pass that down. Margaret, question?
Actually, probably not. No, I don't have any questions.
Tracy?
No questions, just a comment. If you ever do this again, then your comps need to be within the reference period, and your realtor could do that, but you need to be specific what you're asking for, so
Okay.
it can help you out that way.
And maybe we'll do it right.
Yeah.
Question?
I am wondering, are you renting this property out now?
It's currently vacant. The yard's being maintained. I'm just trying to find the funds because I'm going through a divorce right now. The property is in both mine and my mom's name. She's basically doing, I'm on her behalf because she's at work right now. Just because she saw the property assessment, she thinks it's really high, considering it needs a lot of work just to bring it to up to date. Like I said, it was purchased from the original owners at the price, which was at the time $75,000, which is really, really low at the time, which is a great deal. But the mother had just passed away. It was a family friend who sold it to us.
So are you intending on selling the property now? Is that what you're saying? Or are you renting it, or?
We were renting it. It's been vacant for about 2 years right now.
So it's just been sitting there, nobody's been living in it?
Nobody's been living in it.
Okay, thank you.
Using your comparable,
Yes?
it's coming out to exactly what
It would be, okay,
the city's got.
okay. I just,
If you take the square footage,
okay,
it comes up to the 251 or 252 square foot. So you're still in that same range, so.
okay. Sorry.
Okay, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
And we will you will hear from us. Now we're gonna start at the top.
Sorry, can I also give you this one? This is for the Oxford. I only have the one copy. That's for the, 793 Oxford. I don't need it.
Oh, okay. Pass it down, Eric, I think you probably. Thank you very much, and we'll deal with it as we move along. Art, I'm gonna start at the top again here, eh?
Thank you.
Right, yes, somewhere.
I'll copy those. Yeah, those are okay.
Now you're gonna have to be patient with us.
Yeah, just, this guy,
Hmm?
this is adjourned.
It's adjourned?
Yeah.
Adjourned. Okay, so let's go to Ash Street, number 8, 151 Ash Street. You want to read that one on the record? You got a rec on that one or what?
It is a wreck.
Okay.
I believe your package should also state that it is a wreck. So, one is parcel ID 12042610000 Ash Street. 2020 assessment of $523,000. Total assessment per square foot $262.02. There is a recommendation to reduce 2020 assessment to $506,000.
506,000?
Yes. Or $253.51 per square foot to better reflect condition of the property and April 1st 2018 market. Property owner Edward Yarnell accepted recommendation by an email confirmation on September 5th, 2019.
Thank you. Do you have any questions? None? Thank you very much. Let's move on to the next one. 427 Centennial.
So,
I still got mine getting back to.
Any recommendations on this one, or you're just going with that?
I'm just presenting.
You're presenting? Okay, present.
Parcel ID 12071967000, 427 Centennial Street in Sir John Franklin neighborhood is a one-story single dwelling. 1948 year built, semi-year effective age, 642 square feet of living area, basement, full basement with a basement finish, one full bathroom, one car bathroom, and a shower. No central air conditioner and detached single car garage, 4,587 square feet of lot size. 2020 assessment is $280,000. Total assessment per square foot is $456.14. All of the comparables are in Sir John Franklin neighborhood. They're all one-story single dwelling, built within the within 2 years of effective age is within 2 years of subject property. Square footage is they're all larger than subject property. Slightly larger than subject property, ranging from 700 square feet to 864 square feet for living area. They all have basement finishes. Land size ranges from 4,080 square feet to 5,097 square feet. Time adjusted sale price ranges from 265,000 to 283,800. And time adjusted sale price per square foot ranges from $313.43 to $383.14. So, and we also within the reference period. That's all I got.
Questions?
No.
I'm good, thank you.
Have you seen the house?
I have not. So, I did drive by it, sorry, I stand corrected, I did not drive by on this property.
You did it right by.
So, did you see it? No.
Yeah, we're still alive. Okay, I'll leave it with me. Thank you. The next one will be 282 Lockwood, is that correct?
259 Centennial?
No, that's adjourned.
It
Oh,
just
that's
got
adjourned,
adjourned.
okay.
They don't know that.
Okay, it just got adjourned.
Sorry.
282 Lockwood. That one you have a rec on it, right?
Let me see.
Hmm?
Let's see. Yes, there is, let's see what.
Yeah.
So there is a ref on it. Yeah, so it's parcel ID 12072632000, 282 Lockwood. 2020 assessment was $306,000. There is a recommendation to reduce 2020 assessment to $275,000 or $330.13 per square foot to better reflect the first 2018 market and the condition of the property which has been inspected on September 5, 2020. Brian Hydesmith accepted the new value by email on September 6, 2019.
Questions? None? That's a rec anyway. See, I'm sure you know. 910 Boardroom. Hmm?
Information is redacted. I did,
What's that? Which one?
on, next one.
Corbank.
Corbank.
Yeah. The sale, because it's after the 18th, so they didn't want us to see it.
So,
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Yeah. Go ahead.
so subject property is parcel ID 12-06199-4100, 910 Boardroom Street in South River Heights neighborhood is a one-story single dwelling, 1958 year built, same year effective age, 1,293 square feet of living area, full basement and the basement finish, 1 full bathroom, 1 half bathroom, central air, no garages, 6,001 square feet for lot size. 2020 assessment $340,000, total assessment per square foot $262.95. All of the comparables are in South River Heights neighborhood. They are all one-story single dwellings. The yearly and effective age is within few years of the subject property. All of the comparables are smaller than subject property on living area size, ranging from 1,048 square feet to 1,251 square feet. They all have full basement and the basement finish. All have central air conditioner. Some have fireplaces, comparable 1 and 2, 3 do. All have detached single car garages. Lot size ranges from 4,799 square feet to 6,599 square feet. Time adjusted sale price ranges from $323,300 to $373,700. Time adjusted sale price per square foot ranges from $279.22 to $322.52. So, and all of the comparables were sold within the reference period. That's all I have, thank you.
Any questions? None, thank you. Next one, 797 Queen. STEM.
So, subject property 12051843000 is a parcel ID. 797 Winston Street in South River Heights, one-story single dwelling, 1955 year built, 1970 effective age, 1,185 square feet of living area, full basement with a basement finish, 1 full bathroom, 1 half bathroom and a shower, central air, detached multi-car garage, 5,385,000 square feet for lot size, back drain is the influence. 2020 assessment $400,000, total assessment per square foot $337.55. Subject property sold in 2017 for $436,500. All of the comparables are in South River Heights. They're all one-story single dwelling. Yes, effective age is within a few years of subject property. Highest being comparable number 3 of 1977. So, living area ranges from 1,400 to 1,040 square feet to 1,334 square feet. They all have full basements and the basement finish. All have central air conditioner. All have detached multi-car garages. Lots, assessed lot size ranges from 4,308 square feet to 6,240 square feet. Time adjusted sale prices ranges from $392,000 to $449,800. Time adjusted sale price per square foot ranges from $322.71 to $376.92. They all have sold within the reference period. Thank you.
Any questions? Hearing none.
I have one.
Oh, do you? Go ahead.
I see that it was sold for $236,500 in 2017, and the
No,
assessment,
436. Which house are you
sorry,
dealing with?
400,
You said 200.
You said
I'm
two.
sorry, I meant 436,
Yeah.
pardon me. And the assessment roll says 400,000. Do you have any insight into that?
I do not have an insight as to, it seems like assessment, yes.
He didn't chase the sale is what he's trying to tell you.
I don't have information on that. Let me see if anybody else did. So there is no listing information, so it's.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Let's call it. You guys need a break before you rock, or do you guys good?